The morning sun painted the metal buildings of New Haven Colony in shades of gold and orange. Lisa Martinez wiped the sweat from her forehead as she finished checking the soil samples in her laboratory. She had been working since dawn, testing the ground for any dangerous chemicals that might hurt the colonists. The work was important, but she always kept one eye on the clock. Emma would be getting out of school soon. Lisa loved her job as the colony's main scientist, but nothing mattered more than her 8-year-old daughter. Emma was everything to her. Smart, curious, and always asking questions about the plants and animals they found on this distant world. The girl had her father's dark eyes and Lisa's stubborn streak. "Mom, can we go see the crystal caves today?" Emma asked as she burst through the lab door, her school bag bouncing behind her. Her face was bright with excitement, the way it always was when she talked about exploring. "Maybe tomorrow, sweetheart," Lisa said, pulling Emma into a hug. "I have to finish these tests first, but we can make dinner together and watch that space movie you like." Emma's face fell a little, but she nodded. She was used to her mother's busy schedule. Life on a frontier colony meant everyone had to work hard to keep things running. Even the children understood this. The peace of their afternoon was broken by a loud rumbling sound outside. Lisa looked through the window and saw 3 large ships landing in the colony's main square. The ships were dark green with strange symbols on their sides. She had seen ships like this before in the news broadcasts from Earth. They belonged to the Zephyrian Empire. "Stay here, Emma," Lisa said, trying to keep the worry out of her voice. "I need to go see what's happening." Outside, colonists were gathering around the ships. Lisa saw Paul Bennett, the colony administrator, talking to a group of tall, blue-skinned aliens. The Zephyrians were much bigger than humans, with long arms and faces that showed no emotion. Their leader wore a uniform covered in metal badges. "Citizens of New Haven," Paul announced to the crowd. "These are representatives from the Zephyrian Empire. They're here on official business from the Galactic Council." The Zephyrian leader stepped forward. His voice was deep and cold when he spoke. "I am Commander Vextar. We are conducting biological assessments of your settlement. This is required by Galactic Council regulations. All colonists must cooperate fully." Lisa didn't like the sound of that. She had read the colony's agreements with the Galactic Council many times. There was nothing about biological assessments. She raised her hand. "What kind of assessments?" she asked. Commander Vexistar's eyes fixed on her. "Standard procedures. We will examine your population, your health records, your development patterns. Especially interesting are your young ones. Human children show unusual adaptability compared to other species." A chill ran down Lisa's spine. The way he said young ones made her stomach turn. She thought about Emma waiting in the lab and wished she could run back to her right now. "How long will this take?" asked Janet Murphy, another colonist parent. "Several days for preliminary data collection," the commander replied. "Some subjects may require extended observation periods." Lisa exchanged worried looks with the other parents in the crowd. Something about this felt wrong. The Zephyrians had never shown interest in human colonies before. Why start now? And why were they so focused on the children? That evening, Lisa made Emma's favorite dinner, but neither of them ate much. Through their window, they could see Zephyrian soldiers walking around the colony, scanning buildings with strange devices. They stopped at the school, the playground, and the daycare center. "Mom, what do they want?" Emma asked quietly. Lisa pulled her daughter close. "I don't know, sweetheart. But don't worry. Mr. Bennett will handle everything. These things happen, sometimes when you live so far from Earth." But Lisa was worried, very worried. She had worked with alien species before and she knew how to read their behavior. The Zephyrians weren't just conducting routine assessments. They were studying the colony like scientists study lab animals. She tucked Emma into bed and read her a story about brave space explorers. When Emma finally fell asleep, Lisa sat by her window and watched the alien ships. Their lights blinked in the darkness like evil stars. Around midnight, Lisa heard sounds outside, quiet footsteps and whispered voices. She crept to the window and saw dark figures moving between the buildings. Her heart started racing when she realized they were heading toward the residential area where families lived. She grabbed her communication device to call Paul Bennett, but the screen showed no signal. The communications were down. Lisa felt panic rising in her chest as she heard a soft sound at her front door. Someone was trying to get in. Lisa ran to Emma's room, but the bed was empty. The window was open, and she could see footprints in the dirt outside. Emma was gone. She rushed outside calling her daughter's name, but there was no answer. Other parents were doing the same thing. Janet Murphy was crying as she searched for her twin boys. Rick Taylor was shouting for his daughter Amy. In the distance, Lisa could see lights moving toward the Zephyrian ships. She ran in that direction, her heart pounding with fear and rage. As she got closer, she saw the terrible truth. Zephyrian soldiers were carrying unconscious children onto their ships. The children weren't moving or making any sound. "Stop!" Lisa screamed. "Give me back my daughter!" Commander Vexitar stepped out of the shadows. "The children are being relocated for comprehensive study. This is legal under Galactic Statute 847B. Samples of developing sentient species may be collected for protective research purposes." "Samples?" Lisa's voice cracked with fury. "They're not samples. They're children. They're our children." "They will be returned when the study is complete," the commander said without emotion. "Estimated duration is 2 to 3 galactic standard years. Parents will be compensated according to council rates." Lisa tried to run toward the ships, but 2 Zephyrian soldiers blocked her path. She was not strong enough to fight them, but she struggled anyway, tears streaming down her face. The ships lifted off into the night sky, taking 12 human children with them, including Emma. Lisa stood in the empty square, staring up at the stars until morning came. Lisa sat in front of her computer screen for the 4th day in a row. Her eyes were red from crying and lack of sleep. Empty coffee cups covered her desk. She had been sending messages to every government office, every council representative, and every human rights organization she could find. Most of them sent back form letters that said nothing helpful. The Galactic Council office on Earth had finally agreed to talk to her. Lisa waited 3 hours in a cold waiting room before Mediator Quindal would see her. The alien had gray skin and 4 arms, and spoke in a voice that sounded like metal scraping metal. "Mrs. Martinez," the mediator said, not looking up from his papers. "I understand you have concerns about the recent research program involving your colony." "Concerns?" Lisa's voice shook with anger. "They stole my daughter. They took 12 children in the middle of the night. The Zephyrian Empire followed all proper procedures. Humans are a probationary species. You must follow all research directives from council members. This is clearly stated in your membership agreement." Lisa leaned forward. "I read that agreement. There was nothing about taking our children. Statute 847B allows for specimen collection of developing sentient species. The children will receive excellent care at Kepler Station. They will be returned when the study phase is complete." "How long?" Lisa demanded. 2 to 3 galactic standard years, perhaps longer if the research proves valuable. Lisa felt sick. Emma would be 11 or 12 years old when they brought her back. If they brought her back at all. What are they doing to them? Standard cognitive and physical assessments. The research will help us understand human development patterns. This knowledge could benefit your entire species. I want to talk to my daughter. I want proof that she's safe." Mediator Quindal finally looked at her. His eyes were completely black. "Communication with research subjects is not permitted. It could contaminate the study results." Lisa left the council building feeling hopeless and angry. The system that was supposed to protect people like her was the same system that had taken Emma away. She walked through the busy streets of New Geneva, watching families with their children, and felt her heart breaking over and over again. When she got back to New Haven Colony, Lisa found Jake Adams waiting for her. Jake had been a military intelligence officer before he retired to the colony. He was one of the few people who understood how the galaxy really worked. "I've been asking questions," Jake said quietly. "You're not going to like what I found." He handed her a data pad with files that made her stomach turn. The documents showed the real purpose of the Zephyrian research program. They weren't just studying human children, they were trying to copy human abilities. The files talked about enhancement, experiments, and genetic replication procedures. There were medical reports about stress testing and neural mapping. The Zephyrians wanted to understand why humans could adapt to new situations so quickly. They wanted to give their own soldiers the same abilities. They're using our children as lab rats, Lisa whispered. It gets worse, Jake said. These procedures can cause permanent damage, memory loss, personality changes, physical problems. Some subjects have already shown negative reactions. Lisa felt rage building inside her, like a fire. We have to stop this. Jake shook his head. I already tried. I sent this information to every news outlet and government contact I have. Most of them won't touch it. The ones that will say there's nothing they can do. The council has legal authority. Lisa took the datapad and marched back to the Galactic Council office. This time she demanded to see Senior Counselor Theswin, the highest-ranking official on Earth. She waited 6 hours, but she wouldn't leave. Counselor Theswin was even less helpful than the mediator. The alien looked like a giant insect with too many eyes. When Lisa showed him the leaked documents, he barely glanced at them. These are unverified colonial reports, he said in a buzzing voice. Even if the information were accurate, the research falls within legal parameters of the Galactic Research Accords. They're torturing children. The subjects are receiving standard scientific examination. Human emotional responses are noted but insufficient to override council directives. What if it was your children? Lisa demanded. My species does not reproduce in the same manner as humans. Your attachment to offspring is considered excessive by galactic standards. Lisa stared at him in disbelief. Excessive? They're our children. We love them. This emotional reaction is precisely why humans remain a probationary species. You allow feelings to override logic and law. Lisa left the building knowing that the system would never help her. The aliens saw humans as animals, interesting animals that might be useful, but still just animals. They didn't understand love or family or the bond between a mother and child. That night, Lisa called her ex-husband Sam Rodriguez. They had divorced 3 years ago, but he was still Emma's father. Sam was a career military officer stationed on Mars. They took her, Sam, Lisa said, trying not to cry. They took our little girl. Sam's voice was quiet for a long moment. Tell me everything. Lisa explained about the Zephyrians, the council, and the research program. She sent him copies of Jake's files. When she finished, Sam was silent for almost a minute. The system failed. Her, he finally said. Yes. The law failed her. Yes. Then we don't use the system or the law. Sam's voice had changed. It was the voice he used when he was planning military operations. I'm coming to Earth. We're going to get our daughter back. Sam, it's impossible. They have her on a space station surrounded by warships. The entire Galactic Council is protecting them. Lisa, do you remember what I used to tell Emma about impossible things? Lisa smiled for the first time in days. Impossible just means nobody has figured out how to do it yet. That's right, and I'm very good at figuring things out. After Sam hung up, Lisa sat in Emma's empty bedroom and looked at her daughter's drawings on the wall. Pictures of spaceships and alien, worlds and adventures among the stars. Emma had always dreamed of exploring the galaxy. Lisa picked up one of the drawings. It showed a little girl and her mother standing on a strange planet, holding hands under purple skies. At the bottom, Emma had written, "Me and Mom exploring everywhere together." Lisa folded the picture and put it in her pocket. The Galactic Council thought human emotions made them weak. They were about to learn how wrong they were. A human mother's love wasn't a weakness. It was the most dangerous force in the universe, and Lisa was done playing by their rules. Lisa stood at the spaceport on Earth, watching ships come and go. She had sold everything she owned, her house, her research equipment, even her grandmother's jewelry. The money sat in her bank account like a weapon waiting to be used. Sam Rodriguez walked toward her carrying a military bag. He looked older than she remembered, with gray in his hair and lines around his eyes. But his walk was still the same confident stride of a soldier who had seen combat and survived. "You look terrible," he said, pulling her into a hug. "I haven't been sleeping much," Lisa admitted. "Every time I close my eyes, I see Emma's face when they took her." Sam's jaw tightened. "We're going to bring her home. But Lisa, you need to understand what we're talking about here. This isn't just a rescue mission. We're going to war against the most powerful military force in the galaxy." "I know. We'll probably die trying." Lisa looked at him with eyes that had no fear left in them. "Then we die trying, but I won't leave my daughter in that place." Sam nodded slowly. "All right then. Let's build an army." Their first recruit was Kate Sullivan. Lisa found her in a bar on the rough side of New Angeles, drinking alone and looking like she wanted to fight someone. Kate had been a Navy pilot until 6 months ago, when she punched a Galactic Council inspector who was harassing human colonists. "You want me to attack a Council research station?" Kate laughed bitterly. "Lady, I already lost my career for hitting one of their people. Why would I want to make it worse?" Lisa slid a photo across the table. It showed Emma smiling at her 8th birthday party. "Because they're torturing children in that station. Human children." Kate's expression changed as she looked at the picture. "How many kids?" 12 from our colony. Jake Adams thinks there might be more from other places." Kate finished her drink and stood up. "When do we start?" Tony Walsh was harder to convince. The demolitions expert lived in a small apartment filled with books about military history. His brother Danny had been killed by Zephyrian security forces during a peaceful protest on Europa. The Zephyrians claimed Danny was threatening them, but the video showed him with his hands up when they shot him. "The council said it was justified," Tony said quietly. "Self-defense against an aggressive human, they gave the shooter a medal." Lisa showed him the files about the research program. Tony read them twice, his hands shaking with anger. "They're not just taking our kids," he said. "They're trying to steal what makes us human. Our ability to adapt, to survive, to keep fighting when everything goes wrong. Will you help us?" Tony looked at a picture of his brother on the wall. "Danny always said someone needed to stand up to them. Guess it's our turn." Maria Santos was working at a computer repair shop, but Lisa knew her real skills were much more dangerous. Maria had been kicked out of military cyber warfare school for hacking into classified council databases. She claimed she was just trying to prove how weak their security was. "You want me to hack Kepler Station?" Maria asked. "That's not just illegal, it's impossible. Their systems are completely isolated from outside networks. We don't need you to hack them from here," Sam explained. "We need you to get us inside so you can hack them from there." Maria stared at them for a moment, then started laughing. "You people are completely insane. A research station in the middle of space, protected by Zephyrian warships, and you want to break in like it's a corner store." "Yes," Lisa said simply. "And you think this will work?" "I think my daughter is in there and I'm going to get her out." Maria stopped laughing. "You're serious? You're actually going to try this?" "We are going to try this," Sam corrected. "The question is whether you're coming with us." Maria looked at her computer screens, then at the repair work waiting for her. A boring, safe life fixing broken machines for people who barely noticed she existed. "I'm in," she said. "But we're going to need a better plan than just flying up there and knocking on the door." The last member of their team was Alex Turner, a former Special Forces medic who understood both human and alien biology. Alex had left the military after watching too many friends die in pointless conflicts across the galaxy. "You know this is suicide," Alex said after hearing their plan. "Even if we somehow get to the station, even if we find the kids, how do we get out? The Zephyrian fleet will hunt us down before we reach the next star system." "Maybe," Lisa said. "But right now, Emma and those other children are being tortured by aliens who think we're too stupid and emotional to fight back. I'd rather die trying to save them than live knowing I did nothing." Alex was quiet for a long time. "My daughter would be about Emma's age if she had lived," he finally said. She died of cancer when she was 6. I couldn't save her because there was no cure, but you're Emma. Maybe I can help save her." With their team complete, they needed equipment. Sam used his military contacts to find a decommissioned stealth ship called the Nighthawk. It was old and needed repairs, but it could avoid most detection systems. Lisa used her scientific credentials to access restricted databases about Kepler Station. She studied the station's layout, its defenses, and the daily routines of its staff. She learned everything she could about Zephyrian culture and military tactics. Late at night, when the others were sleeping, Lisa would look at Emma's drawing that she kept in her pocket. The picture of mother and daughter exploring the galaxy together seemed like something from another lifetime. The team worked for 2 months preparing for a mission that everyone said was impossible. They practiced combat scenarios, studied alien technology, and planned for every problem they could think of. During their final meeting, Jake Adams brought them one last piece of information. The Galactic Council had issued a warning that any interference with legitimate research operations would be considered an act of war. "They're scared," Jake said. "Word is getting out about what's really happening at these research stations. Other species are starting to ask questions about their own missing children." Lisa looked around the table at her team. 5 humans against the most powerful empire in the galaxy. It should have been hopeless. "Tomorrow we leave for Kepler Station," she said. "The Council thinks we're too emotional to be dangerous. The Zephyrians think we're too primitive to threaten them. They're about to learn that the most dangerous thing in the universe is a human parent fighting for their child." Sam raised his coffee cup. "To Emma and all the other kids, we're coming." The others raised their cups. "We're coming." Outside, Earth turned in space, and somewhere far away, a little girl named Emma Martinez was learning that her mother had not forgotten her. The Nighthawk drifted silently through the debris field around Kepler Station. Broken ships and twisted metal from old battles floated like ghosts in the darkness. Kate Sullivan kept her hands steady on the controls as she guided them through the wreckage. "How long until they notice us?" Lisa whispered. "They won't," Kate replied. "To their scanners, we look like just another piece of junk. The hard part comes next." Through the ship's window, Lisa could see Kepler Station in the distance. It was huge, bigger than any building she had ever seen. Lights blinked along its metal walls, and Zephyrian patrol ships moved around it like sharks protecting their territory. Maria Santos worked frantically at her computer station. "I'm in their communication system," she said, "creating a localized blackout now. They won't be able to call for help for about 30 minutes. "That's not much time," Sam said, checking his weapon. "It's all the time we're going to get," Lisa replied. She looked at each member of her team. They had become like family over the past months. Now they were about to risk everything for children they had never met. Tony Walsh's voice crackled over the radio from outside the ship. "Defense satellites are down. I've planted charges on their backup systems too. When this party starts, they're going to be blind and deaf." Kate found them a docking port on the station's maintenance level. It was far from the main areas, but it would get them inside without triggering alarms. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Lisa and Sam were the first ones through. The corridors inside the station were built for Zephyrians, so they were much taller than humans needed. Everything was cold metal and harsh blue lights. The air smelled like chemicals and fear. "Remember," Alex Turner said quietly, "the research levels are deep inside the station. We have to get past their security forces and through multiple locked doors." They moved carefully through the empty corridors. Lisa's heart was pounding so hard she was sure the aliens would hear it. Every step brought her closer to Emma, but also closer to the Zephyrian guards who would kill them if they were discovered. The first guards they met were at a security checkpoint. 2 huge Zephyrian soldiers stood next to a scanning device. Sam signaled for the team to wait while he studied their patrol pattern. "They check this corridor every 5 minutes, he whispered. "We have to time this perfectly." When the guards turned away, Sam and Tony rushed them from behind. The fight was quick and silent. The Zephyrians were bigger and stronger, but humans were faster and fought more desperately. They dragged the unconscious guards into a storage room and kept moving deeper into the station. Lisa used her knowledge of the station layout to guide them through maintenance tunnels and service passages. This way, she said, pointing to a narrow corridor. The research levels should be just ahead. But as they rounded the corner, they ran into more guards. This time there were 6 of them, and they were ready for a fight. Laser blasts filled the air as both sides dove for cover behind metal support beams. "We're pinned down!" Kate shouted over the noise of weapons fire. Lisa watched the guards and noticed something about how they moved. They were following strict military patterns, just like she had read in her research about Zephyrian culture. They never acted without orders from their leader. "Cover me," she told Sam, then stood up and walked toward the Zephyrian commander. "What are you doing?" Sam yelled. The Zephyrian commander stopped shooting, confused by Lisa's behavior. She looked him in the eyes and spoke in his own language, using phrases she had memorized. "I challenge you to single combat for the rite of passage," she said. "Honor demands you face me alone." The commander looked surprised. Humans weren't supposed to know about Zephyrian honor codes, but the law was clear. He had to accept the challenge or lose respect in front of his soldiers. While he was distracted by the unexpected challenge, Sam and Tony flanked the other guards from both sides. The Zephyrians were caught off guard by the humans' tactics. They had expected a straight fight, not clever strategy. The battle was over in minutes. Lisa didn't actually have to fight the commander. While he was preparing for single combat, Alex had knocked him unconscious with a tranquilizer dart. They reached the research levels and began searching for the children. The labs were full of horrible equipment that Lisa didn't want to think about. Medical tables with restraints, machines that looked like torture devices, and computers showing brain scans and genetic data. "Emma!" Lisa called out, trying to keep her voice quiet. A small voice answered from somewhere ahead. "Mom?" Lisa ran toward the sound and found a heavy door marked with warning signs in Zephyrian text. Alex worked on the lock while Lisa pressed her face against the small window. Inside, she could see 12 human children sitting on metal benches. They looked thin and scared, but they were alive. Emma was in the back corner, her dark hair longer. Then Lisa remembered. The door opened and Lisa rushed inside. Emma saw her and started crying as they hugged each other. "I knew you would come," Emma whispered. "I told the other kids you would come save us." "Are you hurt?" Lisa asked, checking her daughter for injuries. "They did tests on us. Scary tests. But I tried to be brave like you taught me." The other children gathered around them. Some were from New Haven Colony, but others were from places Lisa had never heard of. All of them had been taken from their families for the alien research program. "We have to go now," Sam said from the doorway. "More guards are coming." Lisa looked at the children. Some of them could barely walk after months of medical procedures. Alex was checking them quickly, giving medicine to the ones who needed it most. "Can they all travel?" Lisa asked. "They'll have to," Alex replied. "We're not leaving anyone behind." The journey back to their ship became a running battle. Zephyrian reinforcements were converging on their position from all directions. The team fought desperately to protect the children as they moved through the station's corridors. Kate had the ship ready when they reached the docking bay, but Zephyrian soldiers were already there waiting for them. Lisa realized they were trapped between enemy forces. "Take the children and go," she told Sam. "I'll hold them off." "No," Sam said firmly. "We all go home together." "Look at me," Lisa said, grabbing his arm. "Emma needs her father. These children need to get home to their families. That's more important than my life." Sam's eyes filled with tears, but he nodded. He understood that sometimes parents had to make impossible choices to save their children. Lisa and Tony stayed behind to fight the guards while the others got the children to safety. The last thing Lisa saw was Emma's face in the ship's window as the Nighthawk flew away into space. She had kept her promise. She had brought her daughter home. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Videos from Maria Santos showed everything that happened at Kepler Station. The world saw human children being rescued from alien research labs. They saw Lisa Martinez fighting Zephyrian soldiers to save her daughter. They saw the proof of what the Galactic Council had been hiding. Lisa and Tony were captured after the rescue. The Zephyrians wanted to execute them immediately, but the videos had already reached every human world and beyond. Protests began on Earth, Mars, Europa, and dozens of colonies. People demanded answers. Commander Vextar appeared on galactic news channels, his blue face twisted with anger. The humans Lisa Martinez and Tony Walsh are war criminals, he declared. They attacked a legal research facility, murdered council personnel, and stole valuable scientific subjects. They must be punished according to galactic law. But something had changed in the galaxy. Other species began speaking out about their own missing children. The Altarians revealed that their young had been taken for educational programs that never ended. The Centauri mentioned cultural exchange projects where families never heard from their children again. President Carter Williams of Earth held an emergency meeting with his advisors. The Galactic Council was demanding that Earth hand over any humans who had helped with the rescue mission. They wanted Sam Rodriguez, Kate Sullivan, Maria Santos, and Alex Turner arrested as accomplices. If we don't cooperate, they'll declare war on humanity, General Patricia Hayes warned. We're not ready to fight the entire Galactic Council. And if we do cooperate, we're telling every human family that we won't protect their children, President Williams replied. What kind of government does that make us? The answer came from an unexpected source. Emma Martinez, now safe on Earth, asked to speak to the Galactic Council directly. She was only 8 years old, but she had seen things that no child should ever see. The council meeting was broadcast live across the galaxy. Emma stood at the speaker's podium, barely tall enough to reach the microphone. The great hall was filled with alien representatives from hundreds of worlds. My name is Emma Martinez, she said in a clear, strong voice. The Zephyrians took me from my home. They took 11 other children, too. Senior Counselor Theswin interrupted her. Child, this is not the place for emotional outbursts. The adults will handle this situation. Emma looked directly at him with eyes that seemed much older than 8 years. You want to know what they did to us? They put needles in our brains to see how we think. They made us solve puzzles while they hurt us to see how we react to pain. They took our blood every day and asked us questions about our families. The hall became very quiet. Even the alien representatives seemed uncomfortable. They said humans were too stupid to matter, Emma continued. They said our parents didn't really love us because love was just a chemical reaction. But my mom came for me anyway. She broke galactic law and fought soldiers and risked her life because she loves me. She held up a drawing she had made. It showed a woman fighting monsters to save a little girl. You say my mom is a criminal. But the real criminals are the ones who steal children from their families. My mom is a hero. When Emma finished speaking, the hall erupted in chaos. Some council members demanded order, but others were asking hard questions about the research programs. Videos of the rescue were playing on screens throughout the building. Mediator Quindal tried to restore calm. The human child's testimony is irrelevant. The law is clear. The research was legal under council statutes. But something remarkable happened. Representative Zara Velthi from the Andromedan Republic stood up. I move to suspend all research programs involving sentient children, pending a full investigation. Seconded, called out Representative Keth Morden from the Vegan Alliance. More voices joined in. Species that had remained silent for decades were suddenly demanding answers about their own children who had disappeared into council research programs. Senior Counselor Theswin realized he was losing control. Order. The council will not be swayed by emotional appeals from primitive species. That was his mistake. Calling the other species primitive reminded them that they too were considered lesser beings by the council's founding members. The meeting dissolved into arguments as decades of hidden resentment came to the surface. 3 days later, President Williams made an announcement that shocked the galaxy. After careful consideration, the United Earth government is withdrawing from the Galactic Council. Effective immediately, we will not be part of a system that allows the torture of children and calls it science. The announcement triggered a cascade of similar decisions. The Andromedan Republic left the Council the same day. The Vegan Alliance followed within hours. By the end of the week, 47 species had withdrawn their membership. Lisa Martinez was released from Zephyrian custody when their government collapsed in civil war. Their own people had learned the truth about the research programs and were demanding justice. Commander Vextar was arrested by his own soldiers. Tony Walsh came home to find that his brother Danny had become a symbol of resistance against council, oppression. Statues of Danny Walsh appeared on human worlds with the inscription, "He stood up when no one else would." 6 months after the rescue, Lisa stood in her garden on New Haven Colony, watching Emma play with the other children who had been saved from Kepler Station. They were all getting better, slowly healing from their experiences. Sam Rodriguez visited often. He and Lisa were talking about getting married again. Near-death experiences had a way of showing people what really mattered. Jake Adams brought news from across the galaxy. 30 more species left the council this week, he reported. There are rumors that some council members are starting their own alliance based on actual equality instead of domination. Lisa looked up at the stars that had once seemed so threatening. Now they looked like possibilities again. Humans were no longer alone in the galaxy. They had found allies among the other species who valued family and freedom over power and control. Emma ran up to her holding a new drawing. This one showed humans and aliens working together, building something beautiful among the stars. "What are they building?" Lisa asked. "A better galaxy," Emma replied. "One where families stay together." Lisa hugged her daughter and smiled. One human mother's love had started a revolution that changed everything. The galaxy was learning that the most powerful force in the universe wasn't advanced technology or military might. It was the simple, fierce determination of parents who would never stop fighting for their children.